Hey guys, welcome back to the Barton Racing YouTube channel. This week we're going to be talking about my race at Zandvoort in Holland.
So you were at Zandvoort last year. How does this year compare to last year?
Well, last year we were there with a different car. We had our BMW 2002 as well as our TVR Griffith. The 2002 was relatively untested when we went there. Well, I say relatively, the first time I drove it was in qualifying for that race. It was in the same kind of race. The 2002 is a little bit faster than the BMW 1800 that we were racing. However, the 1800 went really, really nicely. I think our lap times were only a few seconds down, considering the 2002 was on slick tyres and things like that. I think the 1800 did pretty good. In the races, we managed to make a few positions and had a good couple of qualifyings with wet qualifyings and mixed conditions. The car did well.
What's your favourite part of the Zandvoort circuit?
To be fair, it's like every circuit. It's hard to pin it down to like one specific corner. I think there's a set of 3 corners. I'm trying to remember the turn names and numbers, but towards the back side of the circuit, you come over a brow of a hill, then you turn down for a downhill long right-hander, where you start to sweep down for there. You come over the crest. You've got to brake just before that, just to make sure you don't go light and start locking up. As soon as you turn in, you're back on throttle, sliding it down that hill, going down to the right-hander. Got a brief straight for then a right-hander that opens up on the outside, so you can carry loads of speed in, for then a tight right-hander. It's about 180 degrees. It kind of go back on yourself. You have to really get the car slowed and in, and it gets very narrow through there. And I just love that dynamic section of the track, because it's a combination of high speed and low speed, where if you're on it, you can make up a load of time.
So obviously Zandvoort is a very famous F1 circuit at the moment.
Yeah.
How does that compare to circuits like Donington or Snetterton?
It's an interesting question, that one. So with an F1 track, you have a very different grade of surface, and what I've noticed is that these F1 tracks, the surface doesn't quite mould well with the historic tyres. They're cross-ply tyres. They just don't seem to grab hold of the road, so I've had to change the setup to be a little bit more soft and compliant to have the weight of the car pushing down the tyre to make sure it's reacting a little bit better to the surface. It's a very high degradation for these old historic tyres. You can tell it's a bit more F1-esque. You've got a lot more marshal posts, safety barriers and things like that, but crucially it's just another circuit. It's a lot of dynamics to it, and you kind of have to apply that from circuit to circuit. Some circuits, like Thruxton for instance, even though it's not an F1 circuit, is very high degradation and has the same problem with the tyres. But I have found a theme with F1 circuits that doesn't really suit the tyres all that well.
Did you encounter any problems during the race, and how did you fix them or deal with them? So
there's a couple of different areas where we found problems. We did 2 sprint races as well as a 1-hour Masters race, which was the main event that we were targeting that weekend. In the final sprint race of the weekend, that was the final race we were doing, we went out. It was a 25-minute race. We went out, and about 10-15 minutes in, the car started to have a misfire. I decided to come into the pits and say, look, it's probably done. We said, okay, let's retire the car. I promptly got out the car. To which point my team said, okay, let's have a look in the bonnet and see what's going on while everything is still going around. We realised that an HT lead came off. And I saw that and I was like, oh gosh, that's a quick fix. So I jumped back in the car, started belting it while they plugged it back in. We had to get the belts on really quickly. I started up and we had to go. I think I was about a lap down with about 10 minutes to go. I was driving like a bat out of hell, and the last lap was my fastest lap of the weekend, and I made up enough positions to get first in class for that race. There was a couple of other problems that we had to overcome during the weekend, such as in the Masters race, it was a mixed grid, so it means that you had GT cars along with us touring cars. So it was a really interesting dynamic where we had slower GT cars coming through. coming back through the pack, well, having to lap those. But the thing is, things that are, you know, determined as slow GT cars are sometimes actually faster than the touring cars. So they were preparing to, like, you know, it was providing a little bit of a blockage on the track. So it's always interesting to see how a dynamic breaks out between us and the other class of cars in order to work our way through, have a race amongst ourselves, including the GT cars as well. Our race was only 60 minutes, whereas the GT race was 90 minutes, so we finished 30 minutes earlier. It was always an interesting dynamic when you get into races like that. There's a couple of E-types that I was able to have a nice tussle with in the BMW. It's always interesting challenges to go out on a circuit with multiple different classes of car and different types of car.
standing start again. Yeah.
now at the circuit of Zandvoort. We're going down the pit straight. We're going to the first corner, which has got quite a lot of camber, which means you can take quite a lot of speed in. So you're braking here, you're turning in around here. Take a lot of speed in, get on throttle. You're going to take a little bit of a slide on the way out. You've got to be careful you don't go on that curve on the left, because that will take you towards the gravel. You open up the corner a little bit, you turn left, braking, turn right, and then you're back on the power, getting a little bit of a slide, going towards turn 3. Now this is a very harsh camber bowl. I think going round the top of it means you get a lot of exit speed, get your exit. And I've found out a few times if you go a little bit too low, you compromise your exit speed. Here you've got a little bit of a curve left, you've got to pin the throttle wide open. Up the hill, it's going to have a few bumps, and over the crest, braking down here, off the brakes, turn in, start to open the throttle a little bit, trying to settle the rear of the car. Wham, open the throttle all the way up, trying to get the exit curve on the left, kink left, then all of a sudden kink right, the track opens up wide, so take a lot of speed into here. Now the next corner is almost 90 degree, even 180 degree right-hander. You have to brake and take a lot of speed off, get it tight in, then open up the car again, trying to get as much speed as you can going into this left-hander. It's quite tricky. I found an early apex holding on to that curbing and trying to get out as quick as possible was the quickest way around that corner. Might be different depending on the cars, but I found that the tyre wasn't quite gripping with this surface quite right. So braking for this next one is a sharp right followed by a long left in a type of cambered bowl. It was really hard to try and get getting the engine right on cam and trying to get the torque and use it on the way out this corner. Managed to get it quite right here, going towards a right-hander, trying to take a lot of speed, and it's a very open corner. Get the apex. You can use a lot of that curve because it's a bit more smooth. You start high on this final corner, which is a really banked corner. You take it in and meet the curve, and then you go towards the wall and the exit, and you hug that left hand side all the way down the pit straight, trying to carry as much speed as possible. Now later on in the day, when we were doing qualifying for Masters, it started to rain. I just wanted to show you what it's like to go in the rain. Here there was a lot of slippiness going to turn 1. I managed to just get the car in, but it was very close to going off track, but I managed to get the car sorted, get it sideways, get it planted, and get on the way out. You can see here how much I'm having to plan. Instead of using the traditional racing line, which I've just shown you, you have to use the outside of the track, usually because it's slightly higher, but also it means that there's no rubber on that side of the circuit, which means that the water's not sitting on the surface. It can roll away on the tarmac, because when there's rubber down, it means that the water sits on top. So I'm to explore for different lines, look for the different areas of grip on the circuit. So around this kink here, instead of taking inside line, I'm taking it a little bit wider, coasting right, then coming back for the right here, braking very early for this downhill section because it's very slippery down here, and I'm getting on throttle gently, then trying to open it up a little bit, and you see here I get a lot of oversteer on the exit, so you can see how volatile and easy it is to get the car away from you. So here I'm trying to avoid the apex, because on those curbings it's going to be very, very slippery. You're just going to lose all your grip, so it's a complete change of line. You turn in here, completely missing the apex. I'm sitting in the middle of the track just to make sure I'm getting the car in and trying to get a good exit on the way out of here. Same for this corner, don't hug it in, take it all the way around the outside and try and cut back and try and get as straight as possible, getting a bit of a slide on here as I'm getting on power. Go, go, go. You need to get as much exit speed as you can. Trying to get the car straight early so you can plant the power. That means it's not going to have that much of a slide. Here it's interesting, it's a very tight corner again, so you have to use the middle of the track just to try and get the car around the corner. And here again, middle of the track. Usually I'd go for the top, however I thought that if I go for the top and I try and get on the power, if any sort of slide or anything like that, it will put me on the curbing, and that is very dangerous because it might mean I'm getting the barrier. Again here, taking medium line, trying to stay off the curbing, trying to get as much minimum apex as I can, trying to get on the power early. And you see how I'm trying to get on power as much as I can, that I start to get a slide on coming out of this final corner and going down on the pit straight here. It's really interesting in the wet round here. Here we have the lead up to the Masters touring car race. Now this race is a split grid with the touring cars and the GT cars as well, so it's going to be very interesting with the different pace of cars. It's a rolling start. I'm getting everything set up as I want, trying to keep level with this Cobra next to me, and I'm just trying to reaffirm to myself, okay, let's stay out of trouble, let's try and go as fast as we can. But in that work qualifying we did very well, and we were higher up the grid than we should do, so we might have some fast cars coming past us. So going down here into turn 1, I'm braking just that little bit earlier just to make sure I've got a bit of breathing room, make sure I don't lock up. I'm hugging in this first apex tight to give me some room on the left hand side, because I can see there's a loads of land there. Trying to get out of that corner, not moving over to the left because that land was there. Now I'm able to swing it left, now swing it right. I'm going to try and gun it, trying to keep as high as I can. I see everyone's trying to go for the low line. I'm taking up the top, trying to get as good an exit as I can. You see I've taken the guy on the left. I'm planning for him to come back past me at some point. Here he is, as you can see him on there. He's trying to come back past me. He decides to back out of it. I'm now flat out, and I'm trying to plan to see if I can get past this blue land in front of me. I take a look down the inside. I'm not sure if he's seen me, so I decide to back out of it. He has left me a gap, so I'm going to try and go flat out and try and go for it. But I backed out, so I couldn't make that move work. I then cut in for this next corner, try and carry as much speed as I can, because I can see he's not quite on it. And I'm braking here, go down the inside of him, and then try and make the apex and get out of the corner as quickly as possible. So I managed to get that move done and make it stick. And now I need to try and focus on the guys in front. These guys are very quick cars, so I'm just going to have to try and stick to them as best as I can and trying to get the best result that I can achieve. I'm just trying to go here, focus on my line, focus on the guys in front, and just try and get them and reel them in. We have a bit of clear track to ourselves for the moment, so I'm just trying to make sure I capitalise on making sure I do everything right and capitalise on mistakes. As you see here, the elan starts to break down, so I go past him and get the move done safely and pulled off the side circle, which is fantastic. It means that now I can just focus, I've got some clean air, and focus on the race ahead of me. As I said before, this is a mixed grid, so there are some historic GT cars there with us, so it's a very different sort of class. They've got E-types and Cobras and things like that, so the pace of it is very interesting with these guys. They've got big engines. I'm now coming up on an E-type, and I've seen him earlier on in the race. I can see he's not quite as experienced as the other guys, so I think, right, okay, let's see if we can have a go at him here. He's got a really good car. He's taking quite a narrow entry in here. I've taken a bit of a wider line, I'm getting quite close to him. I'm now planning for my next corner again. He's going quite narrow into these bends, so I'm trying to do as perfect line as I can, trying to capitalise on his mistakes. You can see here how I've made up so much ground on him just in that one corner. And then turn in left here, again he's narrow, probably defending from me. Gets a little bit out of shape. I have to make avoiding actions there now. He's got a bit more power on me on this little bit of a straight, so he's just carrying that speed, going down there. I see here he locks up and goes very narrow into this bend, so I again try and capitalise on his mistakes, take as much of a perfect line as I can, get these corners flowing really nicely, get a good exit out of here, try and follow him as close as I can. I know I can't compete with the power, but if I keep up in the bends, an opportunity might present itself when he makes a mistake. And indeed it does. Sadly, the car seems to have a problem. Always having a pit stop, I'm not sure because they have a different pit stop rule, but he very kindly lets me by and I take him on the straight here. Later on in the race, we had a stoppage on track. About turn 11, a Cortina pulled up onto the side of the track, so a safety car was called out. This is the safety car restart, and I just want to show you that it turned an endurance race into a last minute sprint. I think there was only 2 laps left. You can see everyone's starting to go for it now. The lights are off. I then cut into the pit wall as much as I can to defend from faster guys behind. The guys in front are all the touring cars that I'm going to be racing, and these are going to be the moves that mean that I went on and won the under 2 litre class. I see the E-type in front of me again that I was tussling with earlier. I'm now going for it, just trying to keep calm, make sure everyone around me is safe and I've got enough room with them. Following that guy with the Cortina, I see he's going to take a lower line. I'll try and take the high line, get my exit, get on throttle early, get a good exit. I've taken him there, got a Falcon in front of me. I can see he's got a little bit out of shape. Slow car on the left hand side, so I had to back out of that move. Just trying to keep up with him, try and stay with him. He's got a lot of power, but I know in these next fast corners I can have him. He brakes here, I brake just that little bit later. I now take it down the inside, trying to give us as much room as possible. I know, seeing me, I trust him. It's my friend Robin. I know that I can trust him to race closely, and we're going down to the next corner. I brake, turn in, I've got that move done. However, it's not going to stop there because there's a couple of long straights. I know that he has potential to come back past me. Got a couple of GT cars in front. I'm taking into the next corner, trying to cut in short. Go, go, go. We've got to get to the next corner. I'm taking a narrow line in because I can see my friend Robin in the Falcon next to me. He's going to try and get onto me there. I'm just going to try and get out of this corner as quick as I can, try and keep behind me. There's a TBR coming past here, and you'll see the Falcon going past me here. But I outbrake him into this next corner, trying to slow down as much as I can. Don't look up, don't lose control of the car. Try and get in, get to the left hand side. I block off the Falcon next to me, and now go for the next bit of the straight. I know he's got a lot of power on me, trying to just get to the next corner as quick as I can. I come in for this next right, carry a lot of speed through, and I'm trying to plan my exit for the final corner because crucially this is where the Falcon's going to come back at me. They've got massive power under the bonnet. I'm now getting an exit over to the left. I'm trying to cut it back to the right of the pit wall in order to defend myself into the next corner. You see the Falcon come past me along with the leader, Sam Tordoff. I'm braking here. I'll try and outbrake them, but it's just not going to work. I'm going to lock up, lose control, whatever. Try and get in and trying to make sure I'm doing a perfect line as I can. Sam comes back at me, so I have to take avoiding action. It's okay. I stick to the right hand side of the track now because I can see there's an E-type on my left. I try and outbrake him here for the right-hander, trying to get a good exit, trying to get into this bowl for turn 3. Use the high line again, trying to get as good of an exit as I can. I see the Cortina ahead of me. I know that I need to race them for the win of the under 2 litre category. I'm trying to keep with these Falcons, trying to get as good of a run through here as I can. I spot a gap down here. I take to the curb, trying to give it space. I take that place, and that was the place for the win of the under 2 litre category. But I don't want to stop there. I'm chasing these Falcons, trying to get as close as I can to P2 or even P1. Right now I'm running P3 overall, including these big guys with the Falcons. I'm trying to run as close as I can here, trying to get a good exit out of here. I know both these Falcons lock up through this corner quite a lot, as you see they do here. Trying to get the perfect line that I can. I'm trying to capitalise on any of their mistakes. I'm trying to run alongside the Falcon here, and I know that they brake early for this next corner. I'm trying to run it around the outside here, trying to get on power early, trying to keep on the torque, trying to get out of this corner. I know they've got the run on me out of here, but I'm just trying to stay with them, see if they make any mistakes and try and capitalise on that. It's a really tight corner for the next one, so trying to brake here, brake as late as I can. I know that they're going to lock up into here, trying to capitalise on that, take the corner, and switch back for the next one, trying to get a good exit out of here. But alas, I couldn't quite make the move stick, and he gets out of the corner ahead, and obviously he's pulling away with that big engine. I'm trying to set everything up here. I know the end of the race is coming. I'm just trying to make sure I stay with him as closely as I can, because I don't know if this is the last lap or if the next lap's the last lap. But alas, it was the last lap, and you'll see there's an orange flag waving on the right hand side of the circuit, which means that the touring car race is done. The GT car race will carry on, but for now I won my class and I won the under 2 litre category and got a podium overall. Now later on in the weekend we had a different race. It was the NKGTTC. Here I had a problem, the engine wasn't sounding quite right, so I decided to pit now. It's a sprint race, we don't really have pit stops in this, so I decided to pit now. I want to show you these F1 style pits. They're big wide pits, and it's very cool to be using them. I decided to pit now because I don't want to damage the car. It's the last race of the weekend, which means that if anything goes wrong it's going to be catastrophic, so I decided to come in. And if you listen closely, you'll hear my expert diagnostic chat with the team, so I want to let you listen to that for its very pinpoint expertise. Something's wrong with the engine, it's going Turns out the fault was very simple. It was a misplaced spark plug lead. It decided to come off when I went over a curb, so we decided to get out there and go again. I got caught behind this guy in front. As you can see, I'm very frustrated that he's going this slow. The speed limit is 60 kilometers an hour. I'm showing you here that on the pit exit, the green light is first, and then after that, the speed limit is then taken off. It's a very narrow pit exit with walls either side. You're coming out of turn 1, and you need to keep to the right hand side of the circuit. Make sure you don't cross the pit exit line on the left. I'm just trying to keep close to the guy in front. I'm a lap down at this point. I'm just keen to get that lap back. As you can see, I'm just trying to go as quick as I can on this exit. I want to get that lap back. So this is the final lap of the weekend, and it just happens to be the fastest lap that I do this weekend. There's a cooler air temperature, which means that we have a bit more grip and a bit more power. I'm a lap down at this point because of the issue earlier on in the race, which means that I'm just pushing as hard as I can, trying to get as many positions, trying to make up as much time as possible. I'm pushing as hard as I can here, trying to be as precise as possible, trying to make sure I've got the perfect line, don't disable the car on these curbs, take the high line here, try and get as much of an exit as possible, run and use a little bit of that curb, don't use too much otherwise it destabilises the car, trying to run, get as good of a run as I can through here. I see a car in front, I know that he's in my class, I'm determined to try and get him. I'm going here, I'm brake as late as possible, I try and lunge down the inside, I manage to get the move done, and this happens to be the move that means that I get first in class for this race. I'm just trying to make sure I'm being as precise and fingertippy as possible, trying not to overdrive the car, running out wide here, but don't hit that curb because that will destabilise the car. Turn right here, hit the apex, try and run the speed as far out as you can, then try and cut back for the left hand, you try and come over to the right hand side, sweep in, apex early, hug that left hand curb, get foot down and try and get as much power as you can on the way out of this because it's a bit of a straight. Curls round to the left, over a barrel, and then brake here. It's a tight right-hander here going into the left-hander. We had a little bit of a gearbox issue earlier on in the weekend, which means we had to swap the gearboxes out. So the gearing here was a bit odd. I was just trying to manage it, trying to get out as quick as we can. Very open right-hander here, trying to take as much speed. I'm just trying to enjoy this final lap of the weekend because it's a fantastic track and it's a fantastic weekend. It's a beautiful day. Just trying to enjoy it and make as much lap time as I can and just enjoy it. And here, as you see, as I crossed the line, it was a 2:06.2, which was the fastest lap of the weekend. I did a 2:07 at the start of the weekend, so yeah, it was fantastic. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe down below if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing week on week, whether it be racing or anything else we decide to do, and hit that notification button to get alerted when we make a new video. Also, feel free to follow all our social media handles, which are listed in the description below.